everyone. For all of our viewers watching, good morning, good evening, and good night. We are officially releasing our first airing of The Spawn Station, and we are honored to have you tuning in to listen to us tonight or or this evening, morning, whenever you're watching. Now, we want to get down to business straight away. Let's talk about the release of what many believe is the final server. Now, for weeks we've been waiting on edge for this server to come out, and although it's been just about 3 days, a lot has happened on this server, depending on who you ask. This activity is typical or extraordinary. Now, first day of this server, a lot of people have considered a success, but we here at Spawn Station consider a flop. As this beginning of the last server being filled with a lot of quotes from hit film A Minecraft Movie, and most notably, crouching up and down on beds and 1x2 holes. Not what you want to see. Now, the specifics of what happened on day 1 are actually not that important because day 1 was easily overshadowed by the events that occurred on day 2. Now, day 1 did set up one. It set up one thing, and that was the settlement known as New Rancho, led by me, your host RumBrum32, and PancakeBro53. Now, moving along to day 2, it definitely made up for the lack of progress on day 1, as many newer developments and settlements, a lot nicer, unfortunately, were established, and most notably, rapid developments coming from 2 areas known as Boselton and the Spawn City. Now, if we take a look at Spawn City for a moment, we have heard that they want their town to be an economic powerhouse and heart of economy in the server, going directly against the ambitions of New Rancho. Now, we've heard that they're going for a style that resembles that of Venice, Italy, dotting the newly dug canals with stores and all kinds of shops where people can come congregate. Now, Boselton, on the other hand, is trying to be a residential city where people can live in peace separate from any conflict on the server as a unified community, and many active members of the server community as a whole. Although, as we come to find out, they have not done a great job of staying out of trouble and being involved in what a lot of people, actually almost everyone, I believe, would consider the first server scandal. Now, day 3 of the server, it wasn't that important, although one event was very important, actually, depending on how you look at it, actually, but mostly the same development as day 1. Same cities developing further, roads, buildings, all that kind of stuff started to pop up. And the cities that were developing in day 2 have not showed any signs of slowing down the ship. Coming up next, we have more information on the first scandals on the server and how war has officially broken out across the streets of the server. We'll be back.
Uptown got its hustlers, the Bowery got its bums. 42nd Street got Big Jim, a Walker, he a bull-shooting son of a gun. Yeah, he's big and dumb as a man can come, but he's stronger than a country horse. And when the bad folks all get together at night, you know they all call Big Jim Ball just because. And they say you don't tug on Superman's cape, you don't spit into the wind, you don't pull a mask off an old Lone Ranger, and you don't mess around with Jim. I don't do that.
Welcome back, everyone, as we move to our next segue of the first episode of the Spawn Station. Now, as previously mentioned in before our last break, Boselton and its mayor, Boselton H. Roselton himself, have gotten into some hot water recently over what many people considered to be an overreaction, as it was. Now, sure, you are all wondering what he did that was so heinous and quite literally is staining the reputation of Boselton and Mr. Roselton himself. And that action that was so devious was killing someone. As simple as that. Think about it. Killing someone. Now, we've seen a lot of death on this server already, mainly in day 1, where there seemed to be a lot of death involved in 1x2 holes and crouching up and down on a bed. But such a simple action has caused the staining of Boselton as a town. Now, I must personally admit, I was not actually here when the events of this took place, and I'm going off the information given to me by 3 sources, all 3 being biased in some way, shape, or form. So I will try to give you the version of the story that I can piece together by all 3 versions of this story. Now, it all started on the night of the second day of the server, where local homeless man, Count Morlang, also going by the name of J-Steak, reportedly, depending on your source, he either said it fully knowing the implications and meaning it, or saying it as a joke, the phrase now being a common tradition for that man, Mr. Count Morlang. He said that the town of Boselton looked, and I quote, shit. After some instigation from Mayor Roselton to say it again, Count Morlang reportedly said he would, then promptly left the server to go do something of which we do not know. During this period of absence from Count Morlang, Mayor Roselton was up scheming and discussing and declaring to Spawn City Fisherman himself and Pillager Outpost owner, Pillager01, the idea of killing Mr. Morlang when he got back on. Now, we here at Spawn Station believe that Pillager might have thought that it was a joke, hence not notifying Mr. Count Morlang of the impending attack, as they are a team. As we know now, these threats were not a joke, and when Count Morlang came back, he made the fatal mistake of logging off in Boselton, where he was murdered by Mayor Roselton. The aftermath of these events were pretty chaotic, and 2 sides came up against each other as a result of this event. On one hand, teammates Pillager and Count Morlang stood opposed against Mayor Roselton, as he found that defending his town from critics was justified, while the 2 allies argued that Count Morlang had merely said what he did as a joke, and did not deserve to be killed, and that it was an overreaction. This almost escalated into a full-scale war, being the first of its kind, but narrowly avoided. As to ease the tension and de-escalate, Mayor Roselton did agree to give all of Count Morlang's gear to him. Although afterwards, that still kept the tensions going, because when people thought that relations were going to once again stabilize, and actually I had personally come back at this point, they still argued whether it was justified or not. Although tensions have gone back to being semi-stable as of this point, until day 3, a point of tension still remained in that being Mayor Roselton refused to give back Count Morlang's lava bucket. Although it was eventually given to me, actually, to do the Great Burning, which is something that we will learn on our next segment. For now, we will cut the break.
It's a primitive clash, fitting years of frustration.
Welcome back, fellow viewers, as we come back to the show from break and we move into the third and final segue of our show today. And now we have a topic that is actually much more personal and in relation to me, and that topic being the first war on the server. Now, it all started on the very same night as the Boselton scandal, actually, although much later in the day. One fateful thing occurred that launched the server into its first war. Local village idiot, DJ4575, or better known as the notorious man for acting weird and dumb in VCs, and being a legend as for all of his dumb actions, which we will not dive into any further, the man, the myth, the legend, Dylan himself, proceeded to call not just anyone, but me, personally, a good boy. Now, not thinking rationally at that moment, I actually started chasing him around with my sword. And we went into a deep-rooted chase that led us across the 7 seas. By that, I mean down a very long and actually quite big river that eventually did dump out into the 7 seas. Now, Dylan was actually constantly thinking that he had lost me just for me to storm the beaches time and time again, as seen on the stone shore just down the stream of Boselton itself, actually, that has a dark oak forest. He thought that he lost me because I was out of render distance, until he realized that I was just climbing up the beaches. Now, each time that I had kept gaining the upper hand on him and landing on his beaches, I kept gaining more and more ground on him, and eventually I did seal the deal by finding a dolphin and fully catching up to Dylan. Now, at that point, Dylan realized that his best course was to move on land, where we had an epic duel in which utilizing my superior armor bested Dylan and effectively disarmed him without food and 1 heart. With Dylan defeated, I decided I was going to execute him. Not a great idea. Where it all started, Boselton. And I gave him 3 options, those being between the lava chair, firing squad, or suffocation. Dylan did stay silent. Now, eventually we started the long death march back to Boselton from the world border, which we had eventually had our duel as he realized that there was nowhere else to run. And Dylan was fed to be able to keep up with the sprint jumping back to Boselton, but little did I know, Dylan never intended to finish the death march. And just like barely outside the gates of Boselton down the river, Dylan made his final stand where he ferociously and valiantly attacked me. Now, unfortunately, due to his already weaker state than before, I bested him even faster, especially since he had no boat to escape on. He decided to fight to the death. Unfortunately, I had overestimated the amount of health Dylan had, and ended up killing him then and there. Later, Dylan admitted that the reason he did this was that he would, and I quote, rather die fighting than die by execution. And although due to my prospect of giving him back his stuff, he actually was herded back to the exact same spot where I proceeded to break the boat that he was on to come travel to the location and tell him that he was to continue the death march. Now, he once again tried to kill me and had better luck as he was still fresh and had food coming back from the Boselton base, which was his very own house at the moment. He is currently a squatter. And I killed him 2 more times. He did the same trick 2 more times. Don't know what idea got into his head there, but it definitely was not a good one. And eventually I did go back to Boselton, and I started killing him again and again and again. One time he actually did successfully get away, but I was able to track him down, and I killed him again. Although, after tracking him down, he got away 1 more time, and that was the time that he actually had the luck of getting away. But little did he know, during the times that he came back to come kill me, I had actually taken his most prized possession, his beloved llama head, which after learning of its taking, he vowed revenge on me and then declared a state of official war against me. Hence the first war on the server. Now, I know that was a lot to take in. That is definitely not the end of the story, actually. On day 3 during school, we had an hour lunch. And it was a very tense hour lunch where the war resolution and resolve of both sides only strengthened further. And I made a vow to hold the Great Burning, as you guys have already heard on this podcast or station, where I would proceed to burn his beloved llama head at exactly 6:30 Central Time Zone. Now, later in the day when it reached 6, I can only assume that at this hour Dylan was getting ready to defend his llama head when he was eventually attacked and killed in a cave by skeletons and creepers. Eventually, he did go to get his stuff back, leading to the end of his llama head, as he could not get his stuff back in time, and he had nothing to fight with. Now, nothing major past that initial chase and death march have happened, and of course the Great Burning, but we can only assume that things will continue to escalate from here. Although Dylan has confirmed, though, he has a new prized possession, a trader head. Only time will tell where this war goes from here. Well, as for us at Spawn Station, this is where we will leave our first episode, and we appreciate all viewers for coming on and watching us today. And as custom, good morning, good evening, and good night. Wait a minute. What? Oh my god. Wait. Yeah, I'm on it. Okay, this is Justin. Mayor Roselton has once again found himself in more trouble. He has officially found netherite, and he did intend on keeping it, until pressure from many major factions actually forced him down. Now, this is the second scandal in 4 days he has committed, and we have yet to know what else he plots. But we here at Spawn Station do have to warn you. You don't get netherite if you don't want a crusade. Now, of course, not all of us can actually join a potential crusade, as some of us do not actually have the needed skill to join forces against netherite. But there is still a way all of us here can fight. Should a crusade against netherite pop up, we at Spawn Station do encourage the purchase of war bonds. For every bond you buy being an item of your choice at your local war bond store, you can put 2 diamonds or iron at the helm of your best man's sword. Now, that is truly all that we have today, and I hope all a great day, and we will once again air next week. Goodbye, everybody.